So this is a good one because you might come back and reference this video in the future. We've got Ann Presley today with us, who's going to walk us through the contract to close process from a technical standpoint, and then we're going to explore some other things that pop up during the contract to close process and how deals don't have to fall apart when things go wrong, and we can work through those issues. So let me share my screen here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ann. All right, Ann, take it away.
You want to bring us up to the timeline?
Sure thing. Go ahead and introduce yourself too. I don't know if everybody knows you. And Ann is using her phone, so you don't get to see her.
Yes. Well, good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be with you this morning. I appreciate having the opportunity. And let me just start by introducing myself. Again, my name is Ann Presley, and I am the transaction coordinator for both Keller Williams Elevate and Keller Williams Legacy Group. And my primary goal as a transaction coordinator is to ensure a very smooth and timely transition as you go from contract to close. So it's my job to kind of pick up the paperwork and see that we meet all the deadlines, see that we meet commitments, and get you to the finish line in a way. So we're going to talk a little bit about the timeline and the different milestones that you'll need to reach when you are under contract. So hooray, you're under contract. Your offer has been accepted. So let's look at this buyer timeline and let's talk about what needs to happen now that you are under contract. Before we even talk about, let's really documents are needed in order for your file to be compliant. So there are checklists that for your later, or I handle the checklist. Do you want?
Hey, Ann, your voice is cutting in and out a little bit.
I'm going to put the phone right here in front of me. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So I just mentioned that we have different checklists that certainly help to ensure that all the documents that are needed for your file to be compliant, these checklists are going to be very helpful. And if you don't have them, no worries, because Jennifer and I are very happy to provide them to you. So let's talk about what is needed when you have a fully signed contract. Can anybody tell me what's the most important document once you've started the process of building your file with all the docs? Well, obviously, it's your signed contract, right? You have to have a signed offer to purchase, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure you're still with me.
Yeah, and if you don't have a lot of background noise where you're at, feel free to leave it unmuted so you can interact with Ann. I'm sure she would love that.
Yeah. So let's again review what are the documents that you're going to need in your file. You've got your fully signed contract. Woohoo, you're ready to go. You've got the sale. So what other documents did you have your buyer sign? Let's go through them one by one. You've got your fully signed contract. What else do you have that's fully signed?
Your ABA, any addendums?
Consumer Guide Agency.
You need an agency disclosure, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's an agency disclosure? What's the purpose of that document? Is everybody familiar with an agency disclosure?
I'm not muted. Yes, it's just stating what brokerage the agents are working with.
Excellent. So it's basically who's representing who, right?
Mhm.
Are you representing the buy side? Yes. Who's representing the sell side? So it very clearly states the relationship of each agent, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then the next document that's needed is a consumer guide. And what essentially does the consumer guide do? It basically, again, restates all of the different relationships that are going to be in this process, correct?
Correct.
All right. What's an RPD? Anybody heard of a residential property disclosure? What is that document?
That's the document that you're going to have your sellers fill out, disclosing anything that has to do with the property.
Excellent, Danielle. And you made a very important statement. You have them fill it out, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
You are not to complete the RPD, the residential property disclosure for them. They should go through that document line by line and answer all the questions and then get it fully signed. What else is, speaking of disclosures, what other disclosures needed to make sure that your file is compliant? And let's say that your home is older. So that's a hint for you. If your home is an older home,
Your
and was
lead-based.
built prior, what is it?
The lead-based paint.
Correct. And what's lead-based paint disclosure?
The disclosure
Again,
for
disclose. It's disclosing that the seller has no knowledge of any lead-based paint. Or if they do, then obviously it's been mitigated. But it basically is covering the lead-based paint if the home is an older home. If the home is a newer home built after 1977, this document's not needed for your file. What else is a good idea to have in your file? This isn't absolutely necessary for compliance, but wouldn't it be a good idea to have the MLS printout in your
Mhm.
file,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
what is that? That gives you a really good snapshot of everything about the home, and it also states what the commission will be. That's where I'm able to find out what the commission paid to the agent will be. That's where I always go to look. What about home inspection? What do you need there?
Whether or
You need to
not
get a
they
home-
are,
Go ahead, sorry.
whether or not they are choosing to have an inspection, and them certifying that they've received their at least 3 certified inspectors from us.
And as an agent, do you highly recommend that they get a home inspection?
Yes, always.
Absolutely. Now, in this market, we've seen a lot of inspections waived. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's the most prudent decision on their part, but I mean, it is what it is. The market is what it is. But at least you should have that discussion with them that you really would suggest that they get a home inspection. And because you have covered that with them, there is a document called Get a Home Inspection. And it's a good idea to have you review that and have them sign it. If they are going to have an inspection, and I think 98% of the time, they are indeed going to have the home inspected. What's that process? Do you need to provide them some information about inspectors?
Yep, I give them
The
their,
answer is yes. The answer is yes. You're obviously going to provide them with a list of 3 qualified inspectors. And there's actually going to be a new form. We just discussed this at yesterday's meeting. There's going to be a new form introduced. I think at this point in time, our broker is not requiring that be a document for compliance. But I think somewhere down the road, it's going to happen that you need to protect yourself. You need to make sure that you've at least suggested 3 highly qualified inspectors, but they're certainly able to choose any inspector they like. So if they've got someone else in mind, they're certainly able to forward and schedule with another inspector, someone that you perhaps are not familiar with. But you should help, you know, you do have that obligation, I think, to share with them a few suggestions of who they might use for their inspection. So if we're looking at the home warranty next, is there going to be a home warranty with this particular home? In some cases, the home warranty might be offered in the listing. That's usually a nice little bonus. But certainly you can always negotiate a home warranty for your buyer. And our preferred vendor is America's Preferred Home Warranty. Is anyone familiar with the kind of paperwork that you need for a home warranty? Has anyone sold a home warranty?
Yes. I am curious, how many of you have actually sold a home warranty?
I have.
Okay, Antoine?
Antoine, you have?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the process? There's obviously a America's Preferred Home Warranty info packet,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And then in that packet is a warranty agreement, and
Mhm.
that needs to be completed.
Yep. So I would get that information filled out, and then for both the buyer and seller side, and I would have whichever my clients side they're represented on, whether it's the buyers or sellers, I'll have them sign it, and then I'll send it to the other agent to have their client sign it, and then we submit it
Great.
over to American Home Warranty.
Okay. And have you used the America's Preferred Home Warranty portal to order it online?
So I think I'm trying to, is it it's not Tina. I'm trying to think of her name at APH.
Gina Legeza?
Gina? Yeah. So Gina
Yeah.
is super awesome. She actually
Yes.
reached out to me I think a few weeks ago, and she set up a one-on-one call with me and showed me every single step to the portal and how to do it much faster through the portal.
Great.
So I recommend that everyone, whenever you get a chance to reach out to her, she is wonderful. Like she seems like I've known her for years, how great she is. So
She's
so
very
yeah, I do
helpful.
know.
I agree.
Mhm.
Great. So you've learned how to order the home warranty. I agree with Antoine that it's a good idea to become familiar with the APHW website so that you could order your home warranties immediately. There's also an opportunity for you to complete the home fax. You're certainly aware, I hope you're aware, that because we have this affiliated business agreement with APHW, you're able to earn a referral for every home warranty that you sell, but you must complete the home fax. This is essentially just clicking a tab that will complete some information about the home. They want to know the square footage of the home, how many bedrooms. I mean, this is all information that I normally find right off of the MLS. So when I'm ordering this for an agent on their behalf, it's a matter of click, 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 and it's done. If you don't go through that entire process and you just order the warranty, but don't submit the home fax, there's also a tab called data collection. Data collection is a little more in depth. I stopped using data collection tab because the home fax is so much easier. It needs less information for you to complete. Once you do that entitles you to your $50 referral.
Okay,
if
so I
you
thought
miss
we
that
had to
step-
do the data collection to get our 50.
No, they will accept either the data collection or the home fax. Is everyone familiar with the 2 tabs that I'm talking about on the APHW website? when you've ordered your warranty?
I'm not really familiar just because I haven't sold a warranty yet, but I
Okay.
will get on there
Well,
and look at.
maybe we're diving in a little too deep on that, but again, just so that you're aware, it's not enough to simply order the home warranty. You will need to complete either the data collection form or the home fax. My suggestion is go with the home fax. It's really easy breezy, simple. You don't have to tell what kind, who are the manufacturers of the appliances or any of that. It just is a couple of simple questions of square footage, how many bedrooms, how many baths, what is the heat source, is it central air, real quick, attached garage. Again, all of that, you've been to the home, so you would easily be able to complete that in a matter of, minutes, as opposed to having to track down every detail about the appliances that are in the home. So they will definitely accept either of the two, but one of them has to be completed and submitted, or you will not get your $50 referral. Okay? Sorry to beat that dead horse. The other thing we talked about briefly was an ABA. Does anyone know what that acronym stands for? What's an ABA? We just talked about Gina Legeza and America's Preferred Home Warranty as an ABA. What does that mean?
Affiliated business agreement.
Correct. Absolutely. Now, when you are working with Infinity Title, they are also ABA for our brokerage. So what kind of form do you need to disclose that Infinity Title is an ABA? They have their own form, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the ABA disclosure.
ABA disclosure. And frankly, title will not begin title work if indeed, let's say Infinity Title is the name title on your contract. If you're sending the contract without the ABA, they'll kick it back to you and they'll say, we received your contract, but we need the signed ABA. Because essentially what the ABA does is disclose that there is a relationship between Infinity Title and Keller Williams Elevate. Okay, pretty clear? When
Yep.
it comes to having a pre-approval letter from the lender, do you think it's a good idea to have that in the file too? Do you normally collect a pre-approval letter
Yep.
and share it when you're sending your offer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, great. It's not something that's absolutely essential for you to be compliant in your file, but I think it's a good idea to have it so that if anything does become a question later on, you have really easy access to pulling it up. Okay. All right, we're almost halfway through. So now we've got all the docs, they're signed, they're initialed, they're all in your loop, right? Now our file is compliant. If you're missing any of these docs, your file will not be compliant. It will not pass through the audit. And in a nutshell, it's going to delay your commission. So you're going to want to make sure that every one of these docs is in your loop and that everything is initialed and everything is signed. Okay? All right, so we're moving on now to title. What's the process of opening escrow? Can somebody share with me what they do? They've got the contract and they're ready to send it to title. So we did mention this just briefly about how you have to have your ABA if you're sending your title to Infinity Title. What happens if for whatever reason another title is named and we're not using Infinity Title? What happens then? Let's say the title company is XYZ Title Company.
Then you got to send it there.
And right.
Yeah.
So it's been negotiated by the other party that, nah, we don't want to use Infinity Title. We want to use our own title company, XYZ. So now what happens? Do you know XYZ? Maybe not. So it would be best to maybe reach out to that agent and say, hey, can you provide me the contact information for XYZ title? And in some cases, again, if you're representing the buyer, you'll be sending that purchase agreement to title. So at this time, because there is no affiliated business arrangement with XYZ title, you're not going to need an ABA.
Well, we have to have it
In
signed
some ways,
in every case, though.
you should have a signed ABA.
You just
from
wouldn't have to
Infinity
send it
title,
to title.
just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case Infinity is used. But if Infinity is not used, you're not going to ask another title company.
Right.
They're not going to ask you for an ABA because there's no relationship. Okay, so sometimes you have to be almost a little bit of a detective. Many times the co-broke will be very responsive and you know, very quick to reply and say, oh yeah, hey, by the way, XYZ title company, they're located here, and the escrow team that's going to be working on this file is, and they'll give you the contact information.
So if
Many
you-
times you might have to call.
So if you're writing this
Can I jump
timeline
in?
down, this timeline doesn't represent what we do in Ohio. It is missing on the buyer timeline, opening escrow. So we're clarifying on this timeline that part of the contract to close process, first step will be opening escrow immediately. If you're
You
representing.
want to do that. Yeah, you want to do that as soon as possible. Get that title order open so that they could begin the title work. How about home inspection? Who has scheduled a home inspection? What's that process?
I've had it where the buyers want me to call, they pick, and I call and schedule it for them. And we pick a day and time and inspector comes out and does his thing.
And you've got to check with the seller's schedule, right? You have to check that all parties' schedules
Correct. I guess
align.
mine have all been vacant so far, so it hasn't been.
Okay, yours have been vacant, so it's been kind of
Lots of
easy. There's been a lockbox. Okay,
Yes,
well, what if the home is occupied? I mean, you
Oh.
really need you need to
Lots
reach
of
out to the other
coordination.
agent. Right, you need to reach out to the other agent and schedule so that the homeowners, typically you don't want the homeowners at home during the inspection. So usually you'll have to schedule all of those calendars so that, you know, that everything runs smoothly with your home inspection. Okay. After home inspection, what happens after home inspection? Within a couple of days, you're going to be getting a home inspection report, correct?
correct.
And you're going to review that with your buyer, and if there's nothing too terribly alarming, maybe there's some real minor repairs and your buyers agreed, hey, these are minor, I'm not even going to rock the boat here. I'll just accept, you know, these little minor repairs, I'll take care of them myself. Or perhaps you're going to negotiate for the seller to pay for these repairs. Regardless, it's now time to move forward and try to negotiate the removal of contingencies. So let's say we've got an easy situation here and the home inspection came back, it's in pretty good shape, really minor things. They don't want to nitpick. They're ready to sign off on the removal of contingencies. So now you've got your ROC, and it basically is what I call a clear ROC. It's a clear ROC, no repairs, easy breezy, we're ready to move forward. Once you have the ROC, the removal of contingencies, then I would suggest that you send your escrow letter to title. Sometimes title will ask for it very, very early. And as a transaction coordinator, I comply. I'll send it to them if they really want it. But I like to make sure that we're through the ROC. There's no other negotiation that's going to go on with any repairs. So once I know that nothing else is going to change, there's not going to be any concessions made, There isn't going to be a reduction in the price of the home because of some repair. So I know this deal is ready to sail forward. I'm going to be sending the escrow letter. So in the meantime, we've got all of this going on, right? And now it's basically time to stay in touch with the lender. We want to make sure, did you collect your earnest money deposit from your buyer? How soon does the earnest money deposit need to be at title? Does anybody know? What's the contract say?
Within 4 days.
Within 4 days, you need to have, or let's say they've written a promissory note at the time of contract. They just, whatever, they don't have their checkbook, or they've got to move some money around, but they've filled out a promissory note. That promissory note needs to be redeemed within 4 days. They need to send a check, or they need to hand deliver a check within 4 days. If you need to really stress to the buyer that this is a contract, we need to take this contract seriously. We need to follow the dates and the timeline in the contract. If they don't, they're going to be in breach of the contract, and they're putting, well, certainly they're putting themselves in jeopardy, but they're putting you in jeopardy too. So you want to follow up with them and make sure that you are, if you're not collecting the earnest money yourself, that you are stressing to them how important it is to get it to the title office. Perhaps they want to wire the funds. They're certainly able to wire the funds, but they should be instructed to call the title company first to make sure that they have all the details of how to do that. Okay? What I typically do within a couple of days is I check on that earnest money. I want to make sure that it's been received by title. I ask title for a copy of the check, or if it's a wire, I'll ask for a receipt of the wire funds, and I put that in my loop as well. That's something that's going to be required in your file. So again, it's very important that you follow through on that earnest money to make sure. Now, Jennifer, I do have a next steps letter that I send to buyers, and I'm very happy to share that with the group as well. So there's going to be a little, if you like, you can pull it up. And I'm happy to have you use this letter, revise it so that it's, you know, your voice, if you like. But I think, especially with maybe a first-time buyer, they really appreciate knowing what's going to happen next. I mean, this is kind of a scary situation to be in. You're buying your first home. So what I like to do is send out, I introduce myself. I've edited this letter a little bit for you so that you can kind of use it as an agent. But essentially, it's just maybe congratulating them again on the purchase of their new home. And you may have already provided them a copy of their fully executed contract. If not, if there was still some signature missing, or you might be able to attach it now. But here's what it says. It talks about, please send a copy of your contract to your loan officer, and I'll send a copy to the title. And it reminds them, you will need to make your loan application within X number of days. Now, I've seen the days change. I mean, some will allow 7 days. I have some agents that tighten it up and say within 5 days. Whatever you decide, you want to remind them, hey, don't dilly-dally. You need to go and make loan application.
Is there a reason why you don't send it to the loan officer?
You can. I can send it to the, or as a transaction coordinator, there are a number of times where I will be reaching out to the loan officer before the buyer even does. And then the lender will say, hey, yes, I do remember working with this couple, but they haven't sent me the contract yet. Would you send it? And I'm happy to do so.
That
And I
I think it's
also
okay to do that. We just have to make sure that that's definitely who they're working with, because the last thing we want to do is send it to the wrong loan officer. If they decide to use a different lender, and now we've sent all this confidential information. Yeah, to the, I
You want,
usually
yes, you,
take the initiative and get it to the lender, because the lender's the long pole in the tent. I mean, title's gonna be pretty fast. The lender's the long pole in the tent. We're all waiting on the loan. That's, so the sooner
oh
that
yeah,
gets
and
going,
there's lots of delays.
the better chance we have at hitting our closing date. So I like to have, I want it in the hands of the lender at the same time I open escrow for me. Because I have a timeline that I have to keep up and hit that closing date. Um, but yeah, you can't, if you send it to the wrong loan officer, that would be bad.
Well, yeah, let's say they're using Keller Mortgage, for an example. You verify that they're going to be using Keller Mortgage. They have been pre-approved by Matt Sheffy of Keller Mortgage. So yes, you could send their contract directly to Matt. To follow through what's left here in this letter, it's just, again, reviewing the main points of the contract, purchase price, the earnest money, what's the projected close date. All of this is in the contract, but I gotta tell you, people don't read. So sometimes it's nice to just restate it all in a letter. Your title transfer date, provided everything goes on time, is going to be X. The date that you can actually take possession of the house usually is title transfer. That's when they're able, to actually get the keys. It's a good time to remind them that as we get closer to their move-in date, they'll need to call the utility company. We remind them about the final walkthrough. We remind them that, these dates are projected, and if all goes as we hope, we're going to hit all these dates. Though we could run into delays. We could run into delays for various reasons. It's maybe a delay in getting the home inspection done, or something, conditions need to be satisfied with the lender. So appraisals, as you might know, is taking a little longer. Appraisals, used to take, I would turn an appraisal around in less than a week. Now sometimes they're running 14 days. So as long as we're gonna, hopefully meet all of these projected dates that I've said, we'll be there, we'll be able to close on time. Title company info is usually something that I insert right there. And it just gives them the title company's address as well as phone. If they are so inclined, they could actually drop off the check to the title company, and then the title company gives them an immediate receipt, or they can mail it. I tell them exactly what they need to do with that earnest money: write a check, make sure that the check has the address of the home that they are purchasing. Can you imagine how many checks title gets? So sometimes it's a match of, well, who's John and Mary Smith and what home are they buying? So please help out title and make sure that in the memo area, you instruct your buyer to put the home address. Then I like to ask them to take a quick photo of the check and text it or email it, because I want a copy for our file.
I
The
love
next step is you're talking about home inspection. This is another opportunity for you, and this letter needs to follow very quickly after you're under contract. Give them a
Can I
list of the
ask-
3.
Is
Sorry,
this
go
letter
ahead.
something on dot loop, or is this something you print up personally
No,
and put it into your dot loop?
Basically, this is something that I created, and you can use it if you like. I mean, you certainly can change it so that it is more your voice than mine. But it's something that I will tell you a lot of buyers really appreciate.
When we
Because-
sold our house in Indiana, went through a Keller agent that I referred. He did that, or his lady did that as well. And I thought that was really wonderful. And I printed off everything from our transaction as a seller. And I just thought, man, they really had that organized for somebody who's never sold a home personally like that.
Even if you bought a home before, Danielle, I mean, how many homes do people really purchase in a lifetime? It's not something like, even a car, a car you might purchase every 3 to 5 years. A home, maybe not as often. So you're not going through this process so much, so regularly that it's become, oh yeah, I know how to get through this process. So again, this timeline I think is really helpful for the buyer. Jennifer, if you'll scroll a little bit further down, and then we'll just kind of wrap this up. So inspection, you can put, what happens during the inspection. And then as far as the inspection too, a lot of times people don't know. They should come prepared to pay the home inspector. And then to remind them that they have 3 days from the day of the home inspection to submit in writing whether, they want to move forward, do they want to back out, is there some repairs? This is the negotiation that you as buyer's agent, you need to be prepared to send back. We talked about that, that ROC. This is where you're going to negotiate on behalf of your client. But you have 3 days in which, because think about the other party is very eager to hear if everything's moving forward. So as the courtesy, and because the contract states so, please, keep in mind, be very mindful of that tight time. What am I trying to say? The turnaround is very tight. And then if they have questions, but here's something very, very important. Don't have them blow up the deal by going out and buying a car, or this is not the time for them to take that, new job offer. They need to kind of stay put at least through the loan process, because anything that would result, in a delay, certainly buying a large purchase, making a change in your employment, that's going to cause the problem, and it's going to, derail the loan process. So I had one really funny buyer send back. He said after he got the note, he goes, "Hey, thanks for the reminder that it's not a good time to buy that motorcycle." So yeah, it wouldn't have been a good time to buy that brand new Harley during, the process of you trying to buy a home. All right, that's all I've got to say about that particular letter. So again, if you feel it's useful, please feel welcome to use it.
Yeah,
The
I
other
would
thing-
love to use that. Will you guys share that with us?
I just shared
Yeah,
it.
you know what?
Okay.
Keep it as a Word doc. Keep it as a Word doc, and then all you got to do is tweak it every so little bit, and it's personal for each buyer that you're working with. The other
Perfect.
thing that I wanted to also share as a suggestion, Jennifer, if you could bring up the transaction detail summary. I'd like for them to see it on the screen. And this is also a suggestion, but I feel that this is a best practice. And especially for newer agents, I think you're going to find this very helpful. If you just quickly scan through this form, this was nothing more than a Word doc that I adapted to Dotloop. And it has all of these blanks to fill in. Think about how convenient it would be to have this summary in your loop. Anytime you're looking for someone's contact information, what was that lender's email address? All the particulars of your contract is here at a glance. And I will tell you, this is the only piece of paperwork. Everything else I have that I work with is digital, but this is a piece of paperwork that I actually complete. It's in my loop, and I also print it. And I have a 3-ring binder. Now, of course, last year I closed 232 files. So I've got to be on top of my game. I've got to be organized. But let's say you've got 5, 6, 7 deals all going at once. Wow, that's a lot of activity and different timelines and what's going on with this one. This is an opportunity for you to have maybe a 3-ring binder and paper hole punch every one of these. And maybe you want to sort them by close date. So the ones that are closing early would be on the top, and then as it gets later. But again, you have that at a quick glance, to be able to see that you have everything needed. And then in the notes section, if you go all the way to the bottom, Jennifer, that's where you can put some notes. And for me, I have to live and die by my notes because I'm working with, a number of agents. So in that particular note section, I might say, today's date, what is today's date? The 10th, February 10th, sent intro emails to, the lender, to the title company. What was the next thing you did? Collected EMD, sent, whatever notes that you feel you need to keep on track. The inspection was scheduled, maybe the follow-up calls to the lender. As a transaction coordinator, I follow up every Friday with the lenders. I want to make certain that the loan is on track. My first call to them might be about a week later. My letter of introduction goes out very, very soon after I get the contract, and it basically just introduces me, and I set them up to understand that I'm going to be following up with them weekly. And even if you're not representing the buyer, even if you're on the sell side, and Jennifer, you can chime in, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel that as a transaction coordinator, it's my job to move this file along. So even if we are not representing the buyer, even if we're on the sell side, I still try to have a relationship with that lender. I'm still reaching out to him or her on a weekly basis just to see if things have moved along.
Yeah.
My first email might be an introduction where I set it up that I'm going to be following up regularly on behalf of my agent. My next one might be, are you able to confirm that our buyer did make application and the file is moving into processing? Has the appraisal been ordered? You need to stay on top of the lenders. And I will tell you, I work with, the top names. Lenders you will very easily recognize. And I work with, mortgage brokers that I've never heard of before. You need to stay on top of them. Some are very responsive. Some will be, very quick to respond to a question or a request. And then others, you just need to hound. So keep, be mindful of that every relationship might be a little different with the lenders. Okay. All right, so those are two documents that I'm happy to share with you to see if they might be useful for you. Moving through again the timeline, you want to bring that timeline back up, Jennifer?
Yeah, we got about 13 minutes left.
Okay, so we're going to maybe kind of try to zip through this a little bit quicker. So we talked about weekly follow-up. Weekly updates to all stakeholders. You know what I mean by stakeholder? What does that mean? Transaction stakeholder.
Anybody who has an interest within that transaction?
That's correct, Danielle. So who would be the stakeholders on a transaction? Obviously you, the other agent, the two clients,
Yeah.
Right? Who else?
So your client, then the seller?
Title company's a stakeholder, right?
Oh, okay.
Obviously the lender.
would your-
Anyone who has any stake in the game here, anyone who has an interest in what happens with this particular file. So in your weekly updates, if I were a selling agent, I certainly would be working very closely with the co-broke. Again, you can certainly text or email. Sometimes it's obtrusive to phone call, but just stay in touch. And again, if it's your client that's the buyer, give that other agent, hey, we want to let you know the appraisal's been ordered. and it's expected back. The completed report is expected back on this day. Keep them informed, and I will tell you that they will greatly appreciate that, because I know that a number of agents don't. They kind of just wait for the close and it happens, but you'll certainly stand apart from other agents if you are courteous that way. Maybe we're now getting towards the finish line. I mean, things have been moving along. You follow the lender on a weekly basis. All the conditions have been satisfied. This is looking like a home run. It's moving along really nicely. And you think you're going to be getting clear to close from the lender soon. So this is a point in time where you might check in with title and just share with them if they haven't. I mean, they're in touch with the lender as well, but share with them, hey, it's looking really good. We're nearing the finish line. Lender should have clear to close early next week. And then they're going to start, once they have the clear to close from the lender, they're going to reach out to all the parties to schedule signing. And they're going to send out emails and have buyer sign, have seller sign, and just prepare, for that particular deal to come to a close. Just before you're ready to close, there's a settlement statement that is sent out. And those of you that have had a sale, can you tell me what a settlement statement is? Sometimes it's called a CD, closing disclosure. What is that particular document for? Jennifer, you want to answer?
Not my strong cup of tea, whatever. But basically, I mean, they're hard to read if you have the kind that has the columns for the buyer side, the seller side, then you have the pluses and the minuses over here and the pluses and the minuses over there. Basically, it's showing where all the money is moving, right? At the transaction time.
And as an agent, are you going to the commission line?
Oh, that's the line I go to, yes.
Correct? That's not too hard to read.
That's the line I
That's not
go
very
to.
hard to read at all. You want to make sure your commission is correct. And this is the opportunity, if there is anything that for whatever reason doesn't look right, this is when you can question it and bring it to the title company's attention. So we're getting ready to close. We're almost near the finish line. So now it's time also to send your green sheet. And I don't know how many of you are sending green sheets. I'm still sending green sheets for my agents, but very soon we will be submitting commissions through Command. But once you feel this is clear to close, we're ready to go, get your green sheet or your commissions done so that Mike Schmieder has everything he needs. When that check is finally cut from title, he doesn't have to be making a phone call to you saying, hey, I don't have your commission statement or I don't have your green sheet. So I don't think that's usually a problem. I think you're eager to be paid. So at that point, you're going to send in your green sheet or your commission through Command. And at that point, you've reached the finish line. This is a great time to maybe thank everybody for a successful close. And you're going to be getting a DA from Mike Schmieder. DA is your commission statement. Do you think DA stands for what does it stand for, Jennifer? Disbursement agreement, something about disbursement of funds. So once you get your DA, which is in my mind a commission statement, that's a document that I put in the agent's loop. I just do that because it's a good practice. So if you ever need to refer back to it, it's there. And then make sure that your file is compliant, because the moment that you send in your green sheet or that you submit your commission, that's when your file will be audited. And our brokerage uses a third party KW audits, and it hurts my pride when I get something back that is missing. So if you've done everything in advance, making sure that all of your documents are there, you should have absolutely no problem, because again, you will not be paid. Your commissions will be held if you don't have everything compliant in your file. Well, now we've got to get to the seller side. And actually, when you're representing the seller, Jennifer, would you agree there's a little less work?
Yeah, I think if you know the buyer side, you know the seller side. So,
Yeah, with the seller side, again, congratulations, your offer is accepted. Yay, you know, you're ready to start moving this forward, coordinating the home inspection with the other agent. Again, a lot of it is repetitive from the buyer's timeline. But you're going to want to seek out the appraisal report, you know, if they're willing to share that, or maybe sometimes it just says appraisal came back at value as is, and that's all they're willing to say to you, because your client as a seller has not paid for that appraisal or even the home inspection. So I've seen agents share it if they have the permission to do so, but then I have others that feel that, well, my client doesn't want that shared. You'll still negotiate the removal of contingencies the same way you would with the buyer side. So I don't know if there's really that much to add on the seller side, since we've really covered the buyer timeline in great depth. Does anyone have questions at this time? Does anybody write a handwritten note to their client, thanking them for trusting them with the most
always
important purchase?
No.
Do you?
Yes.
I have to tell you that, you know, it's very rare these days for anyone to take the time to handwrite a note. Keller Williams does provide some really great little note cards, or you can just buy, you know, your own note cards, and it doesn't have to be a lengthy letter. It just needs to be 2 or 3 sentences. And you know how you are when you get something in the mail that doesn't look like, you know, when there's a little card in the mail, like handwritten, like, oh, what is this? It's a way for you to stand out. And it's a wonderful way perhaps for you to even ask for a referral, or to close by saying, if you know of anyone that is buying or selling, I hope you've had a great experience with me and that you could recommend me. Does anybody do anything like that as we get to the end of the transaction?
I've done that with, I haven't had any listings or buyings, but I've worked with quite a few renters now, and I've even sent them just letters, you know, 2 months after the fact, even just seeing how they're liking their rental, and, you know, if they would like, feel free to, you know, refer me if they had a good experience. And I always get great feedback. And then I noticed recently a couple of my girls went on there and even went on my Facebook page and left a referral, and just wrote a lot of nice things. And it was, you know, 3 and 6 months later.
Is anyone using the, Jennifer, what is it called? The testimonials, the reviews? I have some agents that have it right in their email signature.
yes,
You know, click here to review.
to anywhere. It could be to your Facebook page, it could be to Zillow, it could be to realtor.com, it could be to your Google site. Yeah, have that right on your email. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, have it and say, if you've had a great experience with me, I'd love to have you review.
I clarify,
Please
if you've had
provide me
a 5-star experience with me, I want to put
Yes.
that in your brain. I need the 5 stars.
You're not going to solicit a review from a really difficult deal.
Yes.
If a deal was a real struggle, yeah, that's not one you're going to get maybe a 5-star. But
Yeah.
if everything, if you feel smoothly and your particular client is happy, ask for a referral, ask for a review very
I
soon
think
after the
you
transaction
do,
closes.
if you do everything Anne's saying to do during this closing process, you will stand out. And you, I mean, and if this is overwhelming for you, that's why Anne's here. It's overwhelming for me. So Anne does my transaction for me, and it makes me look like a superhero. It really does. You know, I would say the under contract communication part was not my strength. And so I was able to leverage that with Anne, and she helped me with that. So don't worry if this is overwhelming. You're like, I can't, that's just so much to keep track of. You have people that can help you with that. This under contract process is so important to your business. How it goes will determine whether or not you're going to get repeat business from this client and referrals. So make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. Take everything that Anne said. Give great customer service so that your clients know what's coming next, so that they are getting communicated with through the whole process and nothing's a surprise. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to get that inspection done within 7 days. And now, oh my goodness, they're in breach of contract if they try to do an inspection and they're just out, because they didn't get it done. So it's incumbent on you to really handle those details well for the sake of your business. And if you're not that kind of person, there's no shame in that, okay? We got people that can help you.
Yeah. And Jennifer, just in closing, I want to throw out an offer for anyone that is on the call today. If you would like to see if we've got a good chemistry to work together, I am very eager to work for you as your transaction coordinator, and I will offer you your first transaction absolutely free. We'll waive the fee. I think the fee is very reasonable. It's only $225 for each transaction. Again, your first transaction with me will be free. And you don't have to write a check. I'm an employee of the company, so I wish I got that $225 in my own pocket, but it does not come to me. Please know that you would have your transaction fee deducted right from your commission. So it's kind of painless. You won't even feel it. $25, I believe, well spent, so that you can leverage me and spend time doing what you really enjoy doing, and that's selling real estate, not chasing paperwork. Yeah. So is anyone on the line today that would like to take me up on my offer of a free first transaction?
I would like to, yeah.
Yeah.
Samantha and Danielle,
Wonderful.
I heard.
Wonderful. Are you under contract, or you have something pending?
Not at the time, but definitely working on it.
Well, Danielle, I'm ready to go to work for you. And who was the other gal?
It was me, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm ready. I think that first transaction will give you an idea of how I work. And it's a great opportunity for us to see if the chemistry's right. And you'll either find value in it or you won't. And I will tell you that some of the agents use me only as needed. So maybe you only need me for your first couple transactions. And then you'll feel more comfortable with it and you'll want to do your own paperwork. But do take me up on my offer. Let's work together. Let's see if we have a good fit here. Again, I'm most eager to prove myself to you.
Well,
Thank you, Ann.
thank you
Thank you.
so much. All right, guys. Unless you have any other questions for Anne, we'll be done for today. And that was our final Ignite class for this session.
Oh boy, are we graduating?
Yes, we have some graduates that are going to be graduating next Monday, and Anne, you're going to join us too at 11 a.m.
I would love to be there.
Fantastic. So right now, I think I have 6 agents that have said they're going to be there. If you haven't RSVP'd to me yet that you're going to be there Monday, 11 a.m. here at Strongsville, we'll have lunch for you provided by Infinity Title. Just shoot me a quick text, please, so I know and I can get my numbers to Infinity Title. And congratulations, guys. Let's do a little dance, a little celebration. You still got to get your numbers in for this past week. So remember on Monday, I'm going to check all those numbers before we do the final graduation. Make sure you don't have more than 6 fouls. You can see your fouls on that tracking form. So check and make sure you're doing okay there. If you do have too many, do something to get rid of them. There's things that you can do to get rid of them. Any questions about the graduation?
I don't have any, but when we're done with this meeting, you'll give me a quick call because I just want to run something by you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, everybody. Well, it's been wonderful. Can't wait to see you on Monday if you can make it. And just thank you so much for this opportunity to bring this content to you. And thank you for your participation. You guys have been amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. Well, have a great rest of the week and a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jennifer.